What's up, guys? Mr.W here, back with another social group. So last time we talked about solving problems and coming up with a solution. So sometimes problems are really hard to think about and understand whether or not we can come up with a good solution or not. And sometimes these problems we don't have any control over. So like we talked about in many videos so far, sometimes we come across problems that we just can't control whether or not they happen. That means the solutions we have are not going to change anything, or there just aren't any good solutions in general. And so sometimes problems come across in different ways. So the first way I want you to think about problems, so I'm going to give you a little bit of imagery here in your daily life, easy to relate to, because problems are a big overarching thing that are kind of complicated. So the first type of problem I want you to think about Plato. So if your problem is a Plato problem, think about how Plato is. Plato is soft, Plato can be squished, Plato can be formed in different shapes. You can make all kinds of different stuff with Plato. And so a Plato problem is a problem that we have control over, and it's a problem we can solve. So it's kind of like those small problems that we talked about before. It's like last time, those problems that we can come up with a solution on our own. Those are our Plato problems. So we have our problem that we can shape into different forms so we can come up with a solution. But sometimes our problems are rock problems. So this is a rock. This is a rock. Rocks are a good example of those big problems, those problems that are hard to deal with. Think about a rock. A rock is very hard. I can't change the shape of a rock. I cannot turn this rock into something it's not. This rock is a rock. Now, granted, I could probably break it with a hammer or something like that, but that doesn't really solve my rock problem here. So I have a problem that is a rock problem. It's a very big problem. It's hard to deal with. So when we have a rock problem, it can be hard to shape and hard to change into something good, where the Plato problem can be often easier changed and solved much easier by ourselves. So I have my rock problem. So what happens when I have these big rock problems? Well, we need to find a healthy way to deal with the situation. So when I say healthy, basically I'm just saying like a way that is positive. Try and find a way to deal with it that is not going to harm you, harm someone else, that's not going to, make things very, very hard in your life. We need to come up with a solution that is going to make our problem a little less hard for us to handle. And we can do that by making the best out of our situation. Sometimes we can try and see positive out of the situation. Sometimes it's hard to make the best of. It's hard to find a positive spin to it. And sometimes there's just changes that are not going to have a positive spin. And that's when you can talk to friends. You can talk to family members, counselors, teachers, people that you trust. You can talk to those people when you're dealing with these rock problems. And when you deal with these rock problems in this manner, you don't change the problem. But sometimes you make it a little better. So I've turned my rock into a little friend. He's a little friend with a cowboy hat. That's my problem. He's still a rock, but now he's also my friend with a cowboy hat. So sometimes we can make our problems go from a normal rock problem, a hard to difficult to deal with problem that just sucks. And sometimes we can find ways to just make it a little better with like a rock with a hat on. So I want you to think about, what is an example of a Plato problem? So remember those problems that we can shape and, change and make for the better, that we can solve ourselves. So those Plato problems. So my example I can think of is we don't do well on a test in school. Well, the problem, if you think about Plato, is still there. It's still a problem, but we can shape it, we can make it better by studying more. And so maybe next time we do better on our test. The problem is still there. We're having a hard time with the test, but we shaped it by studying more. But if you have a rock problem, so we got a rock problem that's hard to deal with. Maybe you have a pet that passed away. That's a big rock problem. And that problem is going to stay there. And honestly, there's not really any good solutions to the problem. You're not going to solve your problem of your pet passing away. But maybe talking to somebody who's a friend, a trusted adult, somebody that can just talk to you and hear your feelings, maybe that can make your problem a little bit more into the smiley face rock with a cowboy hat on. And I'm not saying it's going to make it a perfect solution, but sometimes it's easier to deal with those really difficult problems when we have other people in our corner who are there to just listen and, just make us not feel so alone sometimes. So this was a short video. Hopefully you enjoyed our rock friend. I actually was made this by a student, and so I found it and said this would be a perfect for this example. His hat fell off, though. It used to be hot glued, but he's cute. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for all your hard work. If you are not in my class, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.